soaring all the way around the outside. Can't quite get the move done.
Not quite, drops back ever so slightly as they head up towards turn 6. Once again, 5 laps left to go on lap 3, but in all of this, Sullivan Mounsey, 5.3 seconds in the lead. What a great gap that is. It's just showing how hard he's pushing and how hard the guys are battling behind him. But as you say, Harrison Crosby through the second of the left-handers at turn 8. Really leading this train again, but once again, a good run from James Rose. He's going to go around the outside, trying to come up the left-hander. Oh no, my goodness, bit of contact there. And James Rose down, which is a shame to see.
James Rose, I don't think ahead of him, Harrison Crosby was quite aware how close Rose was to the back of him. Rose is up to his feet and walking away. Crosby is trying to blast clear in second position. The gap up front is now 7 seconds. Sullivan Mounsey 1.5 seconds a lap quicker than anyone else. But the fight is now for second position. We lost James Rose from that 3-rider tussle. That's also promoted Jamie Woodcock into 4th. So all the way back from 9th on the grid and up into 4th place. We've got a 2-rider squabble still for second position, with Carl Payne at the moment seemingly the faster of the two of them. Last lap around he dropped back, but the pack of 3 riders is now down to 2, and Payne trying to make a move down the inside as they come into the infield section once again.
Through turns 7 and 8, the very tight bit, we saw Harrison Crosby gets a decent run out of these, so we won't expect much from Kyle Payne, but coming onto the back straight will be where we can see Kyle really going for it. Of course, yellow flags up at the left-hander by the boot, so no overtaking there. What this is allowing, though, is Jamie Woodcock, Alfie Davidson and Ronald Harris are all closing in, so it could yet become a 5-bike battle for second place in just a matter of minutes. We're more than halfway through, lap 5 out of 8. 3 laps left to go, not long now for Harrison Crosby to hold on, but the big question is, can he?
It's off the infield section where he seems to be struggling the most. That's where James Rose got alongside him. Crosby then moved up to block and, of course, connected with Rose, which ended up in that fall. As I said, at that stage, it didn't look as though they were aware of one another's presence. And again, we've got side-by-side action. Again, Carl Payne goes for the outside line into Christmas Corner. And again, the inside line with Harrison Crosby to hold the position. So it's still Mounsey in front, Crosby in second. Less than half a second, though, between second and third places. And a less than 1 second gap covering 4th to 6th. As you said, Dan, that battle between Jamie Woodcock, Alfie Davidson and Ronald Harris.
And as they come onto the back straight now, again negotiating traffic. Even in these short races, it's a very difficult thing to do. As they come through to the left-hander and up towards the boot, the final couple of corners. It's interesting to see because Kyle Payne, he's just got much better straight line speed, much better run. In fact, he's going to try and go up the inside. Has he taken a position as he's about to come over the line? I believe he has. Yes, in fact he has. So around the outside takes a position. So Kyle Payne, with 2 laps left to go, moves up into second place. He can get a decent run up towards Christmas Corner, but sitting in the tow, Harrison Crosby is damage limitation. But coming into the infield, Harrison will really just come into his own as he goes through the complex up towards turn number 6 now for the 6th time.
Carl Payne so far has been attacking all race. Now he's got to defend. There's no doubt about who the race leader and therefore race winner is going to be. It's going to be a second consecutive win for Sullivan Mounsey, but the race is still on for second place between Carl Payne and Harrison Crosby. Crosby hasn't been dropped and he's making his way swifter through the traffic. Payne still holding the inside line. Crosby has been weak off the infield section, but this time around he's got a good run. Payne, though, stretching that advantage as they come through towards the boot once again.
With a handful of laps to go, in fact, as Sullivan Mounsey would have just heard, just over the line, 1 lap left to go. The final lap flag is being waved. What is the gap? It's going to be well over 10 seconds over the battle for second and third. 9.992. I was quite close. I mean, give me credit, but yeah, that's an incredible ride then from Sullivan Mounsey. You've got to give a lot of good attention to him because he has done fantastically, and it looks like Kyle Payne really stretched the bike coming up towards Christmas Corner, turn number 3. Just that straight line speed. Harrison's trying as best he can, but he just can't compete with that.
Last lap around, incidentally, Carl Payne running on the pace of the race leader Sullivan Mounsey. So now that he's clear of that group, he is able to stretch his legs, as you said, Dan, but it doesn't look as though he's going to make up any of that margin whatsoever. Sullivan Mounsey cool and calm in this one while the race has been going on behind him. It was a three-way fight over second position. That dwindled to just two. Kyle Payne then coming through for second and has built up a sensible margin, but it's going to be a second checkered flag of the weekend for Sullivan Mounsey, who celebrates with his left hand as he comes over the line. The next two riders coming off the final turn will be Kyle Payne and Harrison Crosby. Great race between those two, and it's Payne who gets the second position ahead of Crosby. Crosby, though, will maintain his lead in terms of the championship. And as for the next group of riders, it's Jamie Woodcock who holds on, growing that margin in the end over Alfie Davidson in fifth position and Ronald Harris in sixth. So we had three real groups of riders. Sullivan Mounsey was his own group in that one, 9 seconds clear. Kyle Payne setting personal bests in each of the last two laps to eventually pull ahead of Harrison Crosby. And then that separate battle further down the order with Jamie Woodcock getting the better of Alfie Davidson and Ronald Harris, rounding out the top 10, Ethan Sparks, Guy Darren and Matthew Risbrook.
Thank you very much, Alex Raby and Dan Marr, for brilliantly calling the AC40 Rookies race that we finally got underway and completed. Next up on track, it is the Mini GP50s.
The original and best British championships for mini bikes. This is Cool Fab Racing.
And thank you very much to everybody who's tuned in live to our online, visual online radio coverage. We are streaming in many places today and all day. We stream all three of the races at every 2017 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship round, and this is round number 6, and it's a pleasure to welcome Peter Ansell to our online stream, and in one of the many various places where we are streaming. There's literally too many places to mention. And a big hello to Cindy Tanner, who says good luck today team, BP Racing, Brandon Perrell, number 146. Mummy, love you. Oh, well, that's nice, isn't it? Thank you very much to Cindy Tanner. And Danny Murphy Brady says regarding I think the first race, go Bugs. That's nice, isn't it? So if any other parents want to send in some lovely, heartfelt, wonderful messages of support for their riders, or anybody listening at home as well, family or other friends who are not here at the improving weather of Whilton Mill, then you're more than welcome to send in your messages. It's at Cool Fab Racing on Twitter, Cool Fab Racing on Facebook as well. Or you can just comment on our live stream as well. On track right now, just heading out to the grid. It's the first race of the day. Race number 2 of the weekend for the Mini GP50s. Dan Marr and Alex Raby will talk you through.
Okay, then the riders onto the circuit for race 2 in the Mini GP50 category. The championship led by Casey O'Gorman, who suffered his first defeat of the season in this class in race number 1, finishing outside of the top 3. The top 3 on that occasion, Bailey Stewart Campbell, Evan Belford and Corey Stainer in that order. Close fighting in terms of 3rd and 4th position in the series standings at the moment. Belford now just 5 points ahead of Stuart Campbell after losing 5 points last time out. Those two riders will line up off the second row of the grid. Pole position due to line up Emmanuel Brinton, who DNF'd in race 1, alongside Casey O'Gorman, who, as I said, scored just 11 points compared to 25 in each of the other races he's appeared in this season. The third row of the grid will be Thomas Gomes, who took a good 4th place finish first time out. He's 5th in the series standings, and alongside him Corey Stainer in P6, who finished 3rd first time out, 2nd in the series overall on 276 points. Over 100 clear, it's Casey O'Gorman up front. He's the pre-race favourite. Rounding out the top 10 on the grid, row 4 Finn Smart and Holly Harris. Good race yesterday from Holly. And row 5 Dylan Mellor and James Cook. That's your top 10 on the grid. Just looking back to see that it doesn't look as though we've got a 12th place on the grid at the moment, which was due to be Jaden Toomer, but otherwise the riders are all settled in as we build up to the action in race number 2 in the Mini GP50s. Watch for Casey O'Gorman then on the number 7 bike on the outside of that front row, looking for a sharp getaway and to try and steer clear of trouble after finishing off the podium in race number 1. Bailey Stewart Campbell directly behind. Then watch for Corey Stainer trying to make his way through from 6th on the grid as the riders make their way through on their warm-up lap, and then they'll be onto the grid to get underway with the race start proper. But, clearly, obviously, I wasn't here yesterday, Dan. Casey O'Gorman beaten for the first time in this category, which really, when you compare that to the utter dominance, which was 5 rounds unbeaten, so 15 races unbeaten in the Mini GP 50s, and things didn't quite pan out right for Casey O'Gorman in race 1.
Exactly. On the last lap, the final couple of corners, Harley Harris's bike seemed to have a problem. She was going slowly, and unfortunately Casey, in avoidance really, just sort of got caught up in that and fell down the last. Basically, it fell down at the final hurdle, which was a big shame for him. Was another great victory for him. But shock results, sometimes these things happen, but it's just going to give him even more blood, if anything, to really go out there and say, look, I want this victory more than anything to make up for yesterday.
So Casey O'Gorman with motivation to try and return to winning ways in this Mini GP 50 category, directly ahead of Evan Belford, who sits 3rd in the series standings, and Corey Stainer, the other main rival. At the moment we've got a 3-rider fight, as I said, for the 2 remaining steps on the championship podium. Seems little doubt that Casey O'Gorman will become champion in the Mini GP 50s, but between Evan Belford, Bailey Stewart Campbell and Corey Stainer, we've already had riders swapping and changing points and positions throughout 2017. The riders settled in then on the starting grid. Race personnel make their way off the starting grid, and the riders watch for the lights. Race number 2 in the Mini GP 50 categories. Will Casey O'Gorman return to top spot? Red lights on and out. Decent getaway from Emmanuel Brinton, but it is going to be Casey O'Gorman who gets to the first turn first. Bailey Stewart Campbell threw up into 4th position around the first couple of bends there, but blasting clear once again, it's Casey O'Gorman, a familiar tale in the Mini GP 50s.
But as they come through the infield and up towards turn number 6 for the first time, it doesn't look like so far it could go all his way. Brinton staying onto the back of him as they go through the right-hander for the first time, just hunting a slightly deeper line on the exit. In fact, maybe with the nose at the inside going through turn number 7 and 8. This isn't going to be an easy fight for either of the race leaders, but going deep into turn 8 is not going to help Brinton one bit, really. But it's a 4-bike battle as they come side by side into the left-hander before the boot for the first time. A change of position for 3rd place as they come over the line now.
Bailey Stewart Campbell getting the better of Evan Belford there to come through for P3, and you're dead right, we've got a real race on our hands for top spot as well. Casey O'Gorman over the line, just a 1/10 of a second ahead of Emmanuel Brinton at the end of lap 1. It's Bailey Stewart Campbell, the fastest of the lead quartet, having made that pass on Evan Belford, who drops down to 4th position. Corey Stainer up in 5th. There's a bit of a gap behind the top 4, but there's hardly any gap between either the top pair of riders in 1st and 2nd positions or the secondary pairing of riders in 3rd and 4th places. You observed quite rightly, Dan, that Emmanuel Brinton was already trying to mix up his lines on the first lap to find a way alongside Casey O'Gorman, who's proven himself a very difficult rider to pass in 2017. Brinton's going to have his work cut out if he wants to find his way through, as we've got that continued battle further back as well. Evan Belford trying to recover 3rd place.
And of course he's got to not only attack but defend, because at certain parts of the course, especially the faster parts of the Whilton Mill circuit, the top 2 become the top 4. It all becomes rather tight, so he's got to attack as well as defend, which is a nightmare. Speaking of nightmares, Thomas Gomes in 6th had a really poor start and dropped. He had quite a decent qualifying and dropped all the way back to 6th by turn 2, which has put a bit of a curse. He's in no man's land right at the moment, but as they come up towards turn number 6, it almost looks like a change of position for the lead on lap 3 out of 12.
Isolated 5th place at the moment for Corey Stainer. Isolated 6th place for Thomas Gomes, who finished 4th first time out, 5th in the series standings, 5th on the grid, and as you said, has dropped back. We've got a separate race going on for 7th and 8th. Finn Smart being closed in on by Holly Harris, who was a couple of 1/10 of a second faster last time around. So that's the race for 7th and 8th places. But in terms of the tussle up front, we've still got a pair of riders in the top 2 places, another pair further behind. Emmanuel Brinton faster than Casey O'Gorman by a minute near fraction on lap number 2. They come over the line to complete lap 3, and again Emmanuel Brinton ever so slightly closing on Casey O'Gorman. Pace clearly being held back here by the race leader, with Brinton unable to find a way through, and still that pair of riders in the tussle for 3rd and 4th positions, Bailey Stewart-Campbell and Evan Belford.
That's the important thing, though, is Brinton is just holding back. He doesn't need to fight too hard in this early portion of the race. He just needs to get into the rhythm, watch what Casey O'Gorman's doing, because when you've got someone that close behind you, you're going to be thinking, you're going to get it into their head, so you need to really sit behind them and wait for them to make a mistake before they go on the attack. But Brinton could see this as an opportunity. Decent run out of turn 8 and 9 up towards the left-hander before the boot. Again, deeper into the corners, just really putting the bike, not really with attack, it's not making position, it's attacking intent, it's just getting that niggle into the mind, saying, look, I'm here, I'm trying for it, as he goes through turn 1 and 2, incredibly close once again, and another new fastest lap, barely a tenth between the two race leaders.
The risk, of course, for Brinton is that if he doesn't get quickly past O'Gorman, he'll build up his rhythm and start to break clear. Brinton thinking about a move down the inside at the far side of the circuit. That move is blocked out. He's now going to get the run down the inside once again as they come into the infield section, but that move is blocked. Meanwhile, Evan Belford still looking for a way past Bailey Stewart-Campbell, but for the moment, neither of those positions particularly look like changing, and where we have got a change is Corey Stainer losing ground to Thomas Gomes. So whereas Gomes was an isolated 6th place earlier in the race, he's now in an attacking 6th place right on the tail of Corey Stainer. Those two making their way out of the infield section now, as we're almost side by side for the race lead once again. It's Casey O'Gorman ahead, but by the narrowest possible margin ahead of Emmanuel Brinton.
Well, it's extended ever so slightly on that last lap, but as you're saying, Brinton and O'Gorman, they're just enjoying this little battle at the moment. 7 laps to go, lap 5, we're nearing half distance, so Brinton's going to have to start really actually thinking about making a move rather than holding back. But we see this oh so often. You play it in the early bit of the race and then you just put your foot down. Entirely demoralising, but I can't see that happening currently. The battle for 3rd place is another good one. Stewart-Campbell, again, I think he's got that monkey on his back in terms of just having the rider behind him really making a couple of unforced errors, just going deep into the hairpin at turn number 6 a couple of times. It's unforced little things like that which will merely make you lose concentration and make you make a mistake, and that could lose you the position. Meanwhile, as ever, Brinton on the attack. O'Gorman, great defensive masterclass from him, but as we are half distance in this race already, what more can be done is maybe just a move up the inside at turn number 1. Had his wheel in front, just backed out of it, but they're going to go side by side up to Christmas Corner, turn number 3, the right-hander. Brinton breaks earlier, O'Gorman breaks a bit later, but that's the ebb and flow of battles, isn't it, as they make their way now up towards turn number 6 on lap 6 out of 12.
Never more than a bike length between these top two, less than a tenth of a second separating them last time over the line. Emmanuel Brinton having thought about a move down the inside but wasn't quite close enough. How much closer can you get than less than a bike length, though? It may well be that when these riders reach lap traffic, that will shake things up. So far in this race, the positions have remained static since the end of lap number 1. No real change. Casey O'Gorman having made the start. Emmanuel Brinton was there or thereabouts, has since tucked into 2nd place and kept up well. Again, another good run off the final turn from Emmanuel Brinton. Again, not quite close enough through the left-hander at the first turn, and that's going to give the run to Casey O'Gorman, who still leads. It's closing right up, though, for 3rd position. Bailey Stewart-Campbell against Evan Belford. Belford setting a new personal best on lap number 7 to close that right up, as I said, to less than a tenth of a second. So less than a tenth in the battle for 1st and less than a tenth in the battle for 3rd, and now the leaders are coming up towards lap traffic as well.
And they have to go one way and then the other as they go through turn number 8. It's a difficult place to try and catch up to back markers because you can lose so much exit speed just having to wait to put the throttle on. And Casey going right-hand side, Brinton on the left-hand side going which way and the other. But now this is what's really going to make the battle difficult for Brinton, because he got stuck behind a couple of the lap bikes, which has given Casey O'Gorman the run. It was barely less than a 100th on that last lap, but now the gap is 1.092 seconds, and Belford has taken 3rd place away from Stewart-Campbell. It's that game of chess where you just wait for your opponent to make a mistake and then just force your way through, take the position, and well, that's really handed Evan Belford a good position. But Thomas Gomes also using the traffic to his advantage to make his way up to 5th place. Stainer down to 6th with just 4 laps left to go.
I did suggest that the lap runners may well have an influence on and a bearing on this race. Still quite close in terms of those third and fourth positions though, and it looks to me as though Bailey Stewart-Campbell has got back ahead of Evan Belford as those two come through the infield section. There isn't going to be a repass in terms of the race lead though. Emmanuel Brinton lost a full second, just going the wrong way against one of the lapped runners, and that should have decided this race, I would suggest, with 4 laps remaining. Casey O'Gorman has rarely looked a gift horse in the mouth this season, and it is going to be O'Gorman who extends his advantage once again on that lap number 9, over a second now ahead of Emmanuel Brinton in second. Bailey Stewart-Campbell back in third place ahead of Evan Belford. So as I suggested, Bailey Stewart-Campbell quickly recovering that third place, Belford dropping back down to fourth.
As you say, it's looking quite interesting indeed. Not too long to go in this race, and as we were saying earlier, the battle for the third place, a fantastic one between Stewart-Campbell and Belford. We'll see this a couple of times throughout the day with these guys battling away as they're entered in a couple of different categories, and it's just great to see how much track time that this sort of championship and this kind of motor racing can offer you.
So we've got the second and first position runners from the first race in the Mini GP 50 category sitting at the moment in a fighting position, tussling for third and fourth places. Emmanuel Brinton, who suffered a DNF first time out, up in second place. The gap down to less than a second again, but there's not going to be time to make up that kind of margin, barring an error from Casey O'Gorman. Of course, we saw one in race number 1, but O'Gorman looking set to return to winning ways with the 25 race and championship points here in race number 2. Casey O'Gorman leads it, then Emmanuel Brinton in second. That separate fight still unresolved for third and fourth places between Bailey Stewart-Campbell and Evan Belford, and Thomas Gomes versus Corey Stainer is still close for 5th and 6th.
Although as they encounter lap traffic again through 7 and 8, that's just really put the battle on a bit of a back burner in terms of increasing the gap just enough to make it comfortable for Bailey on the 99. Hopefully, with I think the this next lap we're going to see the last lap flag come out, so it is going to be all of a sudden the race is over. It's been a fantastic race. It's ever so short, but great to see what's going on. And in fact, as we said that, the battle's closed up a bit for third place. It's still Stewart-Campbell in third, Evan Belford in fourth, 0.146 of a second. Not quite that close as they go up towards Christmas Corner, but I have a suspicion there's no more lap traffic, they're going to have to do it on their own, but I've got every single possibility as they come through turn 6. The battle may yet change.
Bailey Stewart-Campbell then in third position at the moment ahead of Evan Belford. Incidentally, Corey Stainer, I did say that 5th place battle was unresolved. Stainer has recovered the place against Thomas Gomes, and I'm not sure what happened because Gomes has dropped suddenly quite dramatically back, set a 57.7 on that previous lap compared to a 55.8 for Corey Stainer, so lost 2 seconds to Stainer, who pulls 1.7 seconds